The West Bloomfield Fire Department is doing their part to help firefighters through the Yellow Rose campaign, which is a powerful resource for firefighters by firefighters, helping them with crisis intervention and stress management. And here to tell us all more about this great program, we have the fire chief for the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Chief Greg Flynn. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning.
Really happy to have you with us and really interested in hearing about the Yellow Rose campaign. What can you tell us about it?
Well, the Yellow Rose campaign is just that, very specifically named as a campaign, meaning this long approach to a problem, issues that have been really plaguing, if you will, communities for decades. You know, the thought of self-harm or death by suicide is and has been the 10th leading cause of death, Jake, in the United States for a very long time. And bringing this awareness not only to the fire service as a profession, but in particular also sharing that with our community and outwardly discussing and removing the stigma associated with overall mental health issues and really promoting emotional wellness is what the Yellow Rose campaign is all about. It's about bringing attention to that, influencing attitudes, and encouraging leadership to make workplace environments that are conducive to reducing and eliminating the stigma associated with firefighters and employees seeking emotional help and guidance from mental health professionals.
That's absolutely right. It's always important to reach out for help if you are in need of some. So, Greg, how long has West Bloomfield Fire Department been working with the Yellow Rose campaign?
Well, our own experience of loss through death by suicide with Lieutenant Jeff Hiltner in 2016 was a motivating factor for our involvement with the program. Really, the involvement with the program, the genesis of the program, the campaign. And that, like so many lived experiences that people have had, because it's the 10th leading cause of death, there's so many people in our community that have experienced this through the loss of a family member or a very close friend, member of the community. But the discussions that circle that are often very uncomfortable when the focus is on how someone dies. And what the Yellow Rose campaign is focused on is removing the how someone dies and normalizing the conversation about loss and that postvention, those that live on, and understanding how to prevent death by suicide and believing that it is a preventable form of death. And I know that's my belief, and it's something that we hope to continue to spread and share through the Yellow Rose campaign in hope and optimism.
And that's very, very empowering of the work that you guys are doing to help increase this awareness with the Yellow Rose campaign. And very sorry to hear about the personal loss with the fire department. And I do want to get into that a little bit because that is something, especially with working in an environment like fire, that can affect people's mental health. What are some of the leading causes that can affect firefighters' mental health, would you say?
Well, I think it's important to normalize the conversation that all jobs come with stress. And while we focus in the campaign about some of the nuance or the specifics of, dealing with the rescue and EMS and fire side of things, that the trauma, the lived trauma that those providers experience can be cumulative. And when we don't process and, address or deal with some of the issues that can come from rendering aid and maybe not having the outcome that the team desired, when we don't talk through and have professional help with that can start to build up, Jake. And that's when that cumulative stress can start to become very heavy on someone and thoughts of poor health or just poor emotional wellness, which can lead to poor relationships and this kind of domino effect that may put someone on a trajectory where they start to contemplate death by suicide. And that's ultimately what the campaign is about. If the intervention takes place at a very appropriate time and we normalize wellness, emotional fitness, like we do with our own health or with our finances, and think of it as a three-legged stool of emotional wellness, financial wellness, and physical wellness. That's really what will set someone up for a successful career, no matter where they are. But specifically with the Yellow Rose campaign here related to firefighters, that's the fire EMS side that we're addressing there.
And that's great that you are. For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have Fire Chief Greg Flynn with the West Bloomfield Fire Department joining us to talk about the Yellow Rose campaign and the work that they are doing to help fight back some of the stigmas surrounding mental health and to help raise awareness for suicide prevention. Now, Chief Flynn, mental health care has become a lot more popular over the last few years. And would you say that there is an increase in these resources being used now that these discussions are starting to become a lot more normalized?
Well, there sure is a lot of attention on access to resources, and I think that that is only hopefully a positive for our mental health professionals to gain the recognition that they should have had all along for the important role that they play. You know, and Jake, I think it's important to realize that creating that relationship, just like you would with a physician early on in life with going in and getting your sports physicals and doing checkups along the way, we want to really encourage people to do the same thing with a mental health professional. You know, why is treating one's mind different than treating one's body or treating one's finances? Just like you would meet as you prepare for retirement, you'd be preparing for the decades before that with a financial advisor, let's say. And having those regular check-ins when you're well, that was a program that we started here called the Give 55 program in honor of Lieutenant Jeff Hiltner. And we say give 55. Would you give 55 minutes to a mental health professional? Would you have given 55 minutes to Jeff if it may have changed his trajectory? And the answer from our team was yes. And so now what we do is that 55 minutes or 1 hour appointment with a mental health professional, voluntary, once a year, no cost to the employee, to normalize the appointment, to normalize going in and talking to someone, and to visit a mental health professional when you're well. Your first visits as a baby with a doctor were well visits, right? That's how we started off. Why wouldn't we want to start the same way with our mental health professionals and have a really positive relationship? Because even like with a physician, Jake, it's not that you're going to connect with the first provider that you meet with. So meeting when you're well is way better, and having that relationship. So if crisis starts to creep in, you have a real friend on the other side as a mental health professional.
That is absolutely right. Those relationships are very important. I've been in therapy myself for about 8.5, 9 years, and that relationship I have is very, very crucial and has helped me to become the person I am. So I totally understand it from that perspective. And it sounds like we're already starting to see these effects very positively in the community, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I believe so, and and thank you for sharing that with you, because I think it's when we share that we, people that are out talking about it and the positive experiences that we've had with mental health professionals. I think that brings that confidence and credibility to those individuals that are working very hard. Too often, the spotlight is shined upon the bad experience or the poor experience that someone may had, and I think it's important to realize that as the person on the other side, the person seeking help, we're often resistant, thinking that we have everything under control, that we're doing just fine. Just like we may feel that we have our weight under control or our fitness under control, but then slowly as time goes on, farther and farther, the belt loops, the belt gets a little wider, or we get a little slower in our jogs. I think that we haven't really comprehended the emotional wellness and fitness that goes with life. And I think it's great that we're talking about it here. And I hope that people see, when the fire chief is saying that that's something that he takes advantage of or she takes advantage of, that goes down through the ranks and likewise out into the community. That's what your professional firefighters, your folks that are emergency responders are doing. You too can seek that assistance. And remember, it's not saying that you're broken or you're unwell necessarily. We want to encourage those regular visits so that you stay emotionally fit.
Absolutely. That is very important to stay emotionally fit. And where can people go to learn a little more info about the Yellow Rose campaign?
Well, right now, the campaign's website is hosted through the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs. So mychiefs.org, and you'll see a a link from the main landing page for the Michigan Association of Fire Chiefs. You'll see a link that'll take you to the Yellow Rose, where you can learn more about it. There's some informational videos that kind of summarize the campaign as well. And that rose, Jake, just so you know, the symbolism of the yellow rose, the rose itself speaks to the confidentiality of the importance of these conversations that take place. The yellow in it speaks of optimism and trust. But the rose is also very symbolic in the sense that the thorns along the stem really speak to some of the trials that we go through in life and the difficulties. But yet, when you get to the rose, how beautiful of a flower it is, and really understanding the value that each one of us, each one of you listening, bring to the loved ones around you and the community that you contribute to. And even when it's hard, that there are those that are ready to fill the gap. And that's what the yellow rose is saying. If I wear my yellow rose lapel pin is on, or you see a sticker or something with a yellow rose, that's an invitation to someone to say, I'll listen and help fill the gap so you can get to a mental health professional. I'm committed. There's no stigma with me. And so that symbolism is very important so that people know, hey, you have a yellow rose coin. You took that pledge that said you're willing to listen and be non-judgmental and help me find someone that can really help me sort out where I am right now. And that's what the campaign's all about.
Fire Chief Greg Flynn, we thank you so much for your time with us today on The Splash.
You bet. Thank you.